You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Okay, so if you work anywhere near product strategy right now,
Yeah.
you know the feeling. The pace of change isn't just fast, it's genuinely disorienting.
It is.
Every single day there's a new model, a new acronym, something promising to solve every single problem you have. Frankly, it's just too much information.
It's a full-time job just to figure out what actually matters.
Right.
And that's, I think, our entire mission today. We've been looking at a ton of recent thinking, what we see as the must-read material on market dynamics, on product definition.
And on how AI is changing the organization itself.
Exactly. We want to give you a kind of strategic shortcut. Just pull out the few key ideas that really define success right now.
Yeah.
The stuff you actually need for your next big product meeting.
Love it. So we're tearing into three major areas. First, we're going straight to the eye of the storm. This AI frenzy. Is it a bubble? Is it a real foundation? We got to decide.
Then we're getting into the fundamentals of execution.
Yeah, separating a slick prototype from a real, durable product and what that means for growth. And then finally, we'll look ahead at the future of specialized AI and the pretty radical shift it demands in how you organize your teams.
And even how you promote your best people.
All right, let's kick off with the biggest story, really.
Yeah.
The AI gold rush. There's this tension, right? On one hand, this whole frenzy, it checks all the boxes of a classic bubble. Massive investments, soaring valuations.
Public excitement that is, maybe a little ahead of the reality.
A little. So if we all kind of agree it looks and smells like a bubble, should we, as builders, even care? Or should we just ignore it and focus on the tech?
Oh, we have to care. We absolutely have to. But for strategic reasons, you have to look past the valuation numbers and focus on what's physically happening because of all that capital being deployed.
So not the stock price, but the stuff being built.
Right. While the hype will, inevitably deflate, bubbles always do, the investment rush builds something permanent. We're talking about these massive generational investments in chips, in compute power, in energy infrastructure.
It makes me think of the dot-com bubble. The valuations popped in 2000, but all that fiber optic cable they laid across the planet, that stayed.
That stayed. And it fundamentally changed the economics of the internet forever.
And the same thing is happening now,
Yeah.
just way faster.
Much faster. And you can see the results in the metrics already. If you look at traditional SaaS companies, their metrics have pretty much stabilized. Growth has leveled off.
But then you compare that to the AI native companies.
And it's a different world. They're growing far, far faster. They are actively reshaping what productivity even means across the entire industry. The engine is AI.
That speed is so compelling, but there's also a reality check baked into this. There's a piece we saw that tracks the economic fundamentals. And the core finding is, well, it's a bit concerning.
It is.
Investment is just racing ahead of real measurable returns.
Which is pretty much the definition of a bubble condition, right? A lot of these enterprise pilots, the real-world tests that are supposed to justify the billions, they just aren't delivering the promised efficiency gains. Not yet, anyway.
Okay, so the big productivity spike we're all banking on might only show up after a painful correction.
It very well might, after the hype cycle deflates a bit.
And that really crystallizes the most crucial takeaway for anyone building products, especially if you're tuned into the vocal technologist. Enduring success, it always comes from creating real value.
Not from chasing inflated valuations.
Exactly, or just building slashy demos. You have to ask yourself, which product survives the budget cut? The one that impresses a VP in a presentation, or the one that actually saves your customer 20 hours a week?
It's always the second one. Lasting impact comes from solving genuine and often really boring customer problems.
That's the perfect filter. So if we accept that real value is the only metric that matters long term, then we have to look at how teams are actually executing.
Right. This takes us from the crazy market hype down to the concrete world of product development. And that leads us to this really crucial and increasingly blurry distinction.
Prototypes versus products.
Exactly.
It has never been easier to create a visually stunning prototype. I mean, with generative AI tools, you can mock up a whole workflow, a slick UI.
You can do it in a weekend.
A weekend. And that's amazing, but it also masks a huge strategic risk, doesn't
A
it?
huge one. A prototype is a suggestion. A product is a promise. And a real shippable product demands exponentially more complexity, more reliability, more stability, and just more scalability than any demo.
Your prototype might work for 10 of your friends.
Right. Your product needs to handle 10 million people hitting it all at once without falling over.
That reliability is where everything happens. And that starts with having a clear purpose. So let's talk strategy for a second. The classic mission and vision statements.
Ah, yes. The ones on the posters in the lobby.
The ones that are too often just these beautifully designed, totally hollow slogans.
But when they're done right, I mean, really right, they stop being decorative and they start being directional. They clarify why the company exists, and critically, they guide the hard choices, the trade-offs.
Yes. If your mission statement doesn't help me argue against building feature B because it distracts from our core goal, then it's useless.
It's just words on a slide.
It has to define why you exist, the future you're building, and what the very next measurable milestone is to get there. It has to drive action.
Absolutely. And when you have that kind of clarity, that's when you can start chasing durable growth. The thing is, the old playbooks are gone. The classic engineered viral loops from the Web 2.0 era.
The invite 3 friends, get a free t-shirt thing.
Yeah, that's largely dead.
Why, though? Is it just that the market is too saturated?
Saturation is part of it, but it's also the shift to mobile. The landscape is just too mature. You can't just trick people into sharing anymore, and the cost to acquire users that way is astronomical.
So what's the new reality?
The new reality is what we call retention-led, multi-loop products. You have to deliver undeniable core value first, something that keeps the customer coming back every single day.
So retention first, then you worry about growth loops.
Precisely. Flashy acquisition tricks might give you a temporary user spike, but they'll churn right out. You need interlocking loops built on top of that retention. A data loop, a community loop, a utility loop that all reinforce the value for your users so they actually stick around.
Okay, so the market's wild, and we need reliability, true value, and a retention-led strategy. Let's pivot to the future structure of AI itself and what that means for how we organize our teams.
This is a big one. The whole idea we've been seeing is that AI agents will specialize like people, not centralize like platforms.
Say more about that. We've been used to models trying to be everything to everyone.
And that's inefficient. The thinking now is that true value is going to come from highly specialized, deep domain knowledge. A one-size-fits-all model for every industry just won't cut it.
So you need focused tools. We saw a great example of this with some of the recent model comparisons. Take Kimi K2.
An open source model.
Right, and it's achieving this frontier level quality because it uses self-correcting reasoning.
Yeah.
It's basically teaching itself by evaluating its own mistakes.
Which is why it's actually beating giants like GPT 5.1 on certain real-world product decisions. It's showing depth in its process, not just its size.
And even if you look at GPT 5.1, that massive model is also shifting its focus. They're emphasizing warmth and tighter instruction following.
Making it feel more reliable,
Yeah.
friendlier.
Exactly. So they're all recognizing this need for depth, whether it's specialized reasoning like Kimi or specialized human-centered interaction like GPT.
And that specialization pushes companies to build new features, but then you hit the final critical step, adoption. And AI is not some kind of magic bullet here.
Right.
We saw a really compelling failure point with Tinder, which just launched a new AI matching feature.
Oh, I heard about this. This is the one that it scans your camera roll photos.
It scans your camera roll to get to know you.
Wait, my entire camera roll? For a dating app, that feels like a huge privacy leap.
That's precisely the product calculation that seems to have failed. For any new feature, you have to weigh the perceived benefit against the privacy cost. And in Tinder's case, the cost of giving up access to your private photos seems way higher than the benefit of maybe slightly better matches.
And what's the result?
The result is, despite rolling out all these new AI tools, Tinder is actually losing subscribers.
Wow.
So new tech doesn't automatically create value. If you violate that user trust boundary, that shiny new AI feature can become a huge liability.
Which brings it all back to execution. The human element is still paramount. To succeed in this fast, specialized world, growth requires rapid invention, real cross-functional work.
And being willing to throw out the old playbook, you just can't rely on the organizational structures that worked even 3 years ago.
And that structure directly impacts how people advance in a company, right? The rules for career progression are changing.
They are. It creates what we call the promotion paradox, the fastest path to a leadership role. It often depends more on business need than just pure performance.
That's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of high performers.
It is. You could be the best engineer in the world, but if there isn't an open director role on a team that's actually growing, you're stuck. You have to be strategic about where you are in the company. Finding the teams with real openings is just as important as your own performance.
So performance alone isn't enough if the opportunity isn't there.
And for leaders, there's one last critical skill: being able to hear honest feedback. Because as you rise up, that essential objective feedback, it just fades away. People get scared to criticize you.
The feedback loop breaks.
It breaks, and then you can't course correct. Leaders have to actively build trust and model vulnerability to make it safe for people to tell them the hard truths they need to hear to adjust their strategy.
So if we pull all of this together, the core tension is crystal clear. On one hand, AI is democratizing product creation. It's easier than ever to build something that looks good. But at the same time, the demands for reliability, for real value, for that specialized depth, and for just plain good organizational execution, they've never been higher.
That's it exactly. Reestablishing ruthless execution is the ultimate key. That means having clear DRIs, directly responsible individuals. Someone who owns the decision, good or bad.
No more consensus-driven meetings that go nowhere.
Right. Fast decisions, not slow ones. And you have to cultivate a customer-obsessed edge that keeps the team hungry and focused on solving those real, tangible problems.
The DRI concept feels more important now than ever with the speed we're moving at.
It's everything. Strategy is nothing without ownership.
That's a powerful way to put it. Okay, so for the final thought, something for all of you to consider. We've established that true value comes from specialized domain depth, but we also talked about Kimi K2.
With its self-correcting reasoning.
Exactly. It's leveraging that to get better at product decisions all on its own. It's improving its own strategy. So, if the future of specialized expertise starts to reside more in the evolving capability of the model itself, does our very definition of human expertise change?
Interesting.
Are we moving from being the specialized domain owner to being the specialized validator of a model's ever-improving strategy?
Wow, that's a fascinating question about the nature of intelligence and ownership itself, isn't it?
It's something to mull over. Thank you for diving into all of this with us. We'll catch you next time.
Spoken Tech, for your ears.